Hi, I'm Wendy and welcome into my studio. And today we're going to paint this really cute polar bear that looks like it's just super happy that it's snowing. And I am only using the primary colors plus black and white in Liquitex Basic. So this is all I'm going to be using. And your primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And then all you're going to need is a medium flat brush or a large flat brush, a number one flat, and a 1/2 inch flat brush and a small round brush. So a small round brush could be kind of a customized size. It's up to you. And I am using 8x10 panel canvas. You can use any size you want. That's preferably a rectangle for this design, but paint along with me and let's paint. So I'm going to start with the 1-inch flat brush and I'm going to get it wet. And we're going to just do some loose brush strokes on the background. You can just do a little crisscross, semi-vertical brush stroke or however you really want to do it. I just want to get a little bit of wetness with water onto the canvas and it will help with blending. We're going to start off with a really loose, soft background and then we're going to go into our shapes. So the color that I'm going to use is going to be like a blue-gray. And it's going to be looking like blue with a little bit of black. Well, that was kind of too much. Mostly blue. So just be careful with the black there. It gets a little crazy. And then white. So you should still see, like, once you add the white, if it doesn't look blue at all, just make sure you add more blue in there. And sometimes you might need to clean your brush if the black got a little too crazy and took over too much. Now, what I want to do is to give some reference points on the canvas before we start filling it in, but I'm going to find the dead center. So bring your fingers to the top and bottom, right and left, find the middle so you know where that is. And then I'm going to put a little mark just about an inch above the bottom right corner and above the bottom left corner. So we're just going up like about an inch, which is about the width of your brush from the bottom of each side there. And then I'm going to come down about 1/4 of the way from the top. So 1/4 of the way is going to be halfway between the center and the top. So if you find that, like right about there. Okay, so now we know where like 1/4 of the way down from the top is. And these are going to be our little reference points for the moment. Now my first brush stroke is going to be connecting the dots. I'm going to go from my bottom left dot and I'm going to pull it slightly in, and then maybe it's going to run parallel for a bit. Once I pass the middle, I'm going to start to bend my line up towards the center, and then I'm going to square it off just a little bit at the top. So see how I kind of pull it up and then over, and your shape can be changed, so don't worry too much about it. And then once I get past that center line, I'm going to pull it, drop it down, and just pull it straight down on a diagonal from there. Now the other little line that I'm going to do, this is going to be right at the center, like right under the chin of the bear. So from there, I'm going to go up just a little bit, about halfway between the top line here and the center. So I'm going to go right in there. This is going to be where the mouth is. And then that's also going to be where the ears come off. So pull straight over on either side. And this is where we're going to put our ears. So the ears are just going to go from there, somewhere around that spot, and just make little round shapes coming out. A little like half circles. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to color around that shape with this color. And I can add a little more white to create some different shades. But once you get those shapes put in, again, we're just coloring around it with that blue-gray. Really loose, really loose. And the only goal here is just filling it in so that there's no empty canvas around the shape. You can always dip your brush in the water and mix it into your paint. So that also extends your paint, makes it go a little further without actually having to use more paint. So if you're on a budget, then that's a great way to paint, especially just for the background, when you really don't usually need it to be very thick or textured. You just need to color it in. All right. So now we have the basic shape, but I do want to start to add some shading from the center, this point, the center point, and then down on the left side. But my shading, I want to be more like gray. So I'm going to take more black on my brush and white. It's okay if there's a little bit of blue still, but I want to move more into a gray tone. And you can even add just a touch of yellow and a touch of red to it to warm it up a little bit if you want. You don't have to, you can just stick with that gray. Adding just a little bit of red and yellow, all it's going to do is warm the gray and make the gray look a little less cool and a little warmer, but it's optional. And I'm not going for like a super dark gray, I'm going for like a medium shade of gray. And then what I'm going to do is pull from this center, and I'm going to pull little brush strokes pulling down. And I'm going to go all the way up to close to under the ear and just around, almost like a little smiley face, pulling right on this side and then pulling down only on the left side. I mean, you can pull just a little bit on the right, like in some spots like that, where you just kind of pull a little bit over. But for the most part, and again, you can put some water in your paint to make it come on a little easier. And then maybe I add a little bit more of that blue gray, and I can put a little bit of that down here below, like right there, just for fun. You can add some of that gray, warm gray tone to the sky a little bit if you want to. You really can play around, but you want to get that in there. And then I'm going to switch to a smaller brush for a second. You can come back, we'll come back to the big brush, but I want to use a small or a medium flat brush or medium bright brush. So a number 6 bright or something similar to that. And what I'm going to do is come in with that blue gray, maybe mix it into the gray. So if I mix my background color with the color that I just made here, I'm going to make like a new color, maybe add a little bit of white to it. A little bit of that gray, a little bit of that blue, maybe a little extra white. It's just a different shade. And then I'm going to come to this little line right here that I made, and I'm going to pull just a little bit down into the left from that space. And again, you can always add a little bit of water to it to make it go on a little more fluid. And then maybe I can do a little bit curved up to the right of that space as well. And then I can do a little bit in the ears here. So I'm going to do on the bottom of the ear and a little bit towards the middle of the ear, just a little dab of that color. And then maybe I do just a little bit to the right of that space. We're going to put a nose right here, but for now we're just putting some shading in. And I can even go like right here and put a little bit. We're going to put the eye right about there. And you can feather some of that color down on the right just a little bit. See how you can start to pull some slightly feathery brush strokes over here. And see how I'm coloring in just a little bit to this side, but it's gradually going to get lighter. It's so fun to do. All right. Now I'm going to add the dark color with the small round brush. And then we're going to work in some light color. I'm just going to go straight into the black here, and we're going to go right to the head. And I really want to come close to the top of the head. I'm going to go pretty close, just about a ½ inch down or so. And I'm pretty far over to the right. I'm going to go right to that space and make a little horizontal line. And then I'm going to just curve it down. Just like that. And then from there, I'm going to pull from the center, I'm going to pull a little line over. And then I'm going to pull 2 little lines like this, coming horizontally. And the one on the left is going to curve up just a little bit. Maybe just a tiny bit on the right. And then I'm going to add, maybe want to add some white and blue to it, just a little bit. And I'm going to color it in with that little bit of a medium or lighter gray shade. I can take a little bit of that under the nose too, on the left and right. If it gets too dark, just come in with more white. Then you can come back into the black. I'm going to put a little eye up to the upper left right here, and it's going to be closed. So I'm just making a little kind of rainbow shape. Just kind of pull it and then go up a bit and then pull it back down. Just like that. You can put a little bit of black in the ear. So I can just make a little dupe. And I can do a little dupe in there. You can take some of that black to the nose and just make little nostrils, little circles. Coming together. We're just going to add some white. And then we're going to, I don't know, not that much more to go. It's pretty simple. I'm going to clean the brush, the big one. And then I'm going to go around and fill in the big spaces with pretty much pure white. You could do a little bit of blue in there or a little bit of gray tones if you wanted. I'm going to put just a teeny bit of yellow and red in it to warm it up just a little bit. But you could just do pure white if you want. And I'm just going around in those big spaces, those big empty white spaces that we haven't really filled in yet. And I can pull a little bit over some of the shadow too. So if you want to soften some of the shadow, do it with this. And then we got over here. Notice how even though I outlined around the ear, I'm filling in the ear like with the white. So we want to make sure that that's not blue all the way around. That was just there to kind of place things. So you can always take that back over And we're going to get a smaller brush to get even more details in. But for now, I'm just getting these big brush strokes in. And see how I can take some of this light color over here and just brush little brush strokes with the edge of the brush, and it kind of looks like fur if we do it like that. And then you can take little pulls, point out into the sky or background, fluff it out, and looks like fur. You want to fluff it out on both sides. So I did a little bit on the left, and now I'm going to do a little bit on the right, or sorry, I already overdid it over here, and I'm going to do it on this side. And then again, I can always come back into those gray tones, soften any of the light. And then you might need to make just a couple adjustments with a small brush. So maybe I want to take that background color and clean up some of the lines. So maybe I want to make the head a little bit less like sticking out less right here. So see how I can come over here and just paint on the shape of the head to take it a little more in right here. So now it looks like it's kind of turning up a little bit more, and I don't have so much of a need for like an eyeball right there. I might take it out just a little bit though. So you can go back and forth until you feel like, all right, it's getting there. And then at any time, you can also go back into like the bigger brush to kind of smooth things out. So maybe I want to smooth out this background color a little bit right here with the bigger brush. I'm digging it. And then you can put a few little highlights and some snow. So highlights are just going to look like a little bit of white on the tip of the nose, or even like a light blue. You can make it like a soft, or you could just do pure white, but see how you can go to the tip of the nose and put like a little highlight towards the top. You can do that on the mouth too, just a little bit. You can also add more little brush strokes with pure white with the small brush, like little feathering ones, or just wherever you want to touch something up. And then this is where you can put like some texture or, you know, again, more feathering. Can do like little brush strokes on the fur to give it more texture. This is has just a tiny bit of blue in it, but it's mostly white. But putting it on top of the white just gives it this subtle texture. Looks pretty. So however you want to add that. And then I'm just going to take the tip of the brush and add some snow, which is just dots. So see how I can just add little dots everywhere. And I can have one falling on top of the nose, and then it's going to come down on the shadow so that it looks like the snow is falling over the bear. So however much snow you want to see, you're going to let it happen. You can even do some splatter paint, you know, if that's something in your, what is something you want to do. I'm not going to do it, but I just want to like let you know that you can if you want. And then just however much of that snow you need to add it, do it. So easy and fun. Now maybe you want to make a few more touch-ups like with the gray shadows coming around the mouth. So see how I can kind of come around and add another little line that goes around the outer edge of the mouth or under or around the bottom part of the nose or the eye or around the ears. Sometimes it just take that little kind of shadow color and almost underline your black on some spots, and it just gives it a little more depth. It's optional though, you know, and then maybe you come back into some more snow. And then maybe you let it go. Like I'm gonna let it go because I try to keep these under 30 minutes. We want to keep them really easy and approachable. And again, maybe the one little thing I want to add is a little more to the ear on the right. Just a little bit more. Just gonna add a little more white. And just fill in this ear a little bit more. I feel like it got a little, I wanted to make it just a little fuller on the bottom. Okay, good. I'm happy with that now. All right, I'm gonna let it go. Now, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you painted along. I hope you like how your little polar bear enjoying the snow falling. It just looks so pleasant. And I hope you leave me a comment. Let me know what other fun stuff you'd like to paint, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.